Hey everybody, welcome back to our next stop in this Fixx album review series. It's been going on a while. We've kind of had some halts here and there throughout all this thing with just being busy, different stuff here and there, but we've been just trucking back along with it here. And this will be our final album of the 90s for them. Of course, it came out in 1999, kind of a different one here because there's no original material on here, right? Which normally I'm like, hey, I ain't putting that on there. But I mean, hey, even Wikipedia's got this thing listed as a studio album. It's, of course, we're talking about 1011 Woodland double album here. And pretty much it consists of, it's got like 3 live tracks at the end. And then the rest of the stuff is just acoustic iterations of already existing songs. Which some of these, I wouldn't say is fully acoustic because they do have like some electric guitars and stuff like that. But at some moments, but for the most part, it is really just unplugged acoustic sounding. So, and there are a lot of cool different uses of a lot of different instruments on here that we'll get into. But yeah, guys, 1999, just 1 year after the album prior, Elemental. So let's jump into this thing here with the opening track here, Driven Out. Of course, this one comes off Calm Animals. I believe it's the opening track off there. If I'm not mistaken, as well. So, but this one is, right off the bat, you've got this kind of cool acoustic sound going on with it. But this one does include the, like an electric guitar solo on it and stuff, and kind of shows you, hey, we're going to do a little bit of a blend on some of these. And I think it's a great version of this song. Really, really cool way to kind of jump into this album here and show off like some of the sounds of this. Of these iterations, these acoustic versions of these here. Sorry, stumbled on my words here for a second, but yeah, it's a really cool opener here. But I mean, and I've only listened to this thing once before, so I mean, I kind of forgot that they still use some electric instruments and stuff like that on here. But this one, hey, I'm cool with it because it's a very, very cool version of Driven Out. Then, track number 2 here with Standard Fall, of course, comes off their debut album, Shuttered Room. And this is one of the best tracks off here. And kind of how I'm thinking of this here is how, different and stand out are some of these versions compared to their original versions. And I think Standard Fall is one of the best ones off here. I mean, it's just the, that really synthy kind of echoey sounding guitar lick that's just kind of strummed through on the track on the original version. Well, here it's just this gorgeous sounding acoustic strum through there, and it's just a really, really pretty version of Standard Fall. And it's a standout for sure off here. One of my favorites off here, and one that I do like to go back to. Just a really, really cool version of that song. And again, this is something where, how different can you stand out, and is it worth, how worth it is it to venture out and listen to the alternate, the acoustic version as opposed to the other, the standard version. So, and for the most part, as we'll see, it's all in the clear here and very much worth it. And Standard Fall is one of the ones that I would say is most worth it for sure. Then we go with Woman on a Train here, and of course, that's an awesome one off Phantoms, one of my favorites off Phantoms, and it's got that cool little bass groove and everything going on, and just, and I really like how this one kind of, and on a few of these here, they kind of drag on these, and not in a bad way, but they drag on and kind of jam out a little bit, do a little improvisation on some of these tracks here, like at the ends and stuff like that. And Woman on a Train is one of those where they just kind of keep on jamming, and I'm all for it. Very, very cool. So another really solid version there. Then we've got, oh man, this is one of the best versions off here. Outside, this acoustic version, of course, this one's off Reach the Beach, most popular album of theirs. And this might be like the best off here. I think it's up there as far as stand out versions of a track. Much like Standard Fall, this track has that really synthy and echoey Jamie West Storm guitar sound. So translate that over to acoustic, and it just makes for this really pretty kind of ringing, and just there's some cool little licks and stuff on here during like a acoustic solo that is just fantastic stuff. So this acoustic version of Outside is freaking great. So let me go with Secret Separation, of course, off Walkabout. Very, very solid. Not, I wouldn't say it's too far. I wouldn't say it derives too far off the beaten path of the original song, but it's good. It is cool, kind of hearing it. And Cy Curnin kind of sings it a little different, so it's a cool sound for sure, but not one that majorly stands out. Then we go with a really cool little deep cut here from the first album, Shutter Broom, Cameras in Paris. And this is a really cool version. I was like, man, that they just knocked this one out of the park. Got that acoustic bass going on, doing its little groove. And, just a really, really cool song. And that one ended up being one of my favorite songs off that album as we, look back on it a bit ago when I reviewed that album. But it was one that I totally forgot about. And I totally forgot also there was an acoustic version of it on here, and was pleasantly surprised that there was, because it is a very, very cool version. I love hearing that acoustic bass, and just the flow of this song goes really well. Then we go with another one of the best ones off here with track number 7. Comes from Phantoms. We're talking about Wish. And this one, there's no percussion at all. Just you got that acoustic bass, really pretty acoustic guitar, and of course the vocals of Cy Curnin. And it's just a really, really pretty and relaxing version of this song, and that is already a really pretty and relaxing song, right? So, really, really dig this one, and this one has always been one of my favorites from here. Again, I only ever listened to this once before because I didn't own this, and you can't find the full thing anywhere on streaming, YouTube, nothing. So I had, my uncle has a massive library of music downloaded from, years and years back, and he continues to add stuff to it. And thankfully, he had like a digital version of this that he had downloaded at some point or another. So I was able to hear this, and this one was one of my favorites off there the first time I heard it, and it remains the same as being one of my favorites off on this second full listen here. Then we go with One Jungle, and this one is off of, I believe, drawing a blank, but I think it's off Ink, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I think this one's off Ink. It's either off Ink or Calm Animals, I'm pretty sure. But it's a really good song, and it's kind of creepy sounding too, a little bit, right? I mean, it's almost sounds like a little bit of like some kind of mob song. There's a lot of like there's like an accordion going on in here, which is really cool. And also a lot of Hammond organ on a lot of these, by the way, too, which is really a cool substitute for like the synthesizers and stuff. But One Jungle is a really cool one, and one that I also forgot was covered on here, as and it's acoustic in an acoustic way, and very, very cool. And I really like just kind of the vibe of this one. Cy Curnin sings in a really dark and low tone, but makes for just kind of a cool groove, really groovy tune there. Then we close out this first disc with I Will from Phantoms, and one of my all-time favorite Fixx songs, as you'll know if you've seen my review of Phantoms, and they covered this really well. It's got kind of a jazzy, bluesy vibe to it, a lot of little licks and little fills on guitar in between the verses, and just really, really love this version here. They didn't quite take the same approach as, things like, Stand or Fall and Outside did, with just kind of having that very clean, to the point kind of sound, which I Will could have had. But instead, I like how they took it a little different, made it a little complicated, a little jazzy there, which makes it also one of the coolest and best acoustic versions off here. Let me hop on over to disc 2, and we get Saved by Zero, of course, from Reach the Beach. One of their, if not their most popular songs ever, right? And for good reason. It's amazing, and this acoustic version of it is also amazing. You get more kind of improvisation and kind of additions to the song. With, there's even like this really cool transition at one point that you're almost like, man, this sounds kind of like they've really really ventured off a little bit there for a minute, and then they kind of come right back around to it. So this is another one of my favorite acoustic versions off here, Saved by Zero. I think they do a really, really good job of translating this over to an acoustic form. Then we go with Lost Plains. This one is off of, if I'm not mistaken, this one would be off of Calm Animals, I believe. If I'm not mistaken. Again, some of these, I'm just drawing a blank on, especially kind of these little deep cuts here. But, I love Lost Plains. And I can't believe I said it was off Calm Animals. I remember now. It is off of course, their first album, Shuttered Room. I had it in my head, and the black and green kind of color schemes on both those albums kind of tricking me up there. But yeah, Lost Plains, really, really cool. Deep cut again, that makes it here from Shuttered Room, and is translated over very, very strong and very, very good track off this second side here. And another one that I was like, man, I totally forgot. Like whenever it came on, when I'm jamming to this thing, I'm like, oh, they threw this one in there, really, really cool. Then we go with one of the best ones on here as well, and easily one of the best ones off this disc 2, if not the best one off disc 2. Precious Stones from Calm Animals. Already kind of a softer track, and this one, so of course, it's going to translate well over into an acoustic form, because it already kind of has that intimacy sound, the intimate sound that and just the really soft sound, and the vocals on this are fantastic, just like they are on the original version of it. Cy Curnin belts it out, does a great job, and just Precious Stone, fantastic, fantastic version. Then we go with Still Around. This one is off of Ink. And this one is one of my least favorites, if not my least favorite off here. Not counting like the 3 live tracks at the end, which I'll get to. But, it's solid. I was kind of surprised to see this one on there as well. It's cool sounding, but not one that I was like, would be eager to see, as in acoustic form. But it's cool they did it, right? So it kind of has its spot there. Then we close out the acoustic stuff here with track 14, right? 2 Different Views, which comes from the album right before this, Elemental, and fantastic. This is one that rivals even the original, because it was already an acoustic-based song, and this just takes it, to the next level of keeping even more acoustic elements. No pun intended of it being off of Elemental, but yeah, fantastic song, one of the best off here, and this is like one of the only ones that really rivals even being better than the original version. So very cool, and props to Elemental, which I initially hated, right? But I've come around to really dig. So excuse me, but just a great, great version of that song. Then these last 3 tracks, kind of weird. They're not acoustic versions or anything, just live versions of songs. You get Red Skies from Shuttered Room, which is really cool. Love the song, but it's a weird breakaway, just throwing on these 3 random live versions here. Of course, it's cool sounding. It's, doesn't really change too much from the original version. Just kind of a weird way to end things off here with these last 3. Because then you get one thing leads to another. Also, arguably, their most popular song, really good song, live version of it here, also sounds really good. But is it that much different from the original? Not really. And, you look on the back of this thinking that it's all going to be acoustic stuff, not knowing that those last 3 are just live versions, because I thought they were going to be acoustic versions of these the first time I ever heard this album, and was kind of bummed out we didn't get a one thing leads to another acoustic version. I think that could have been pretty neat to hear. Then we close it out with a live version of Deeper and Deeper, which is a song that was recorded during the Phantom sessions and made it on the Streets of Fire soundtrack. Never seen the movie, but That's what soundtrack it was on. And it's a really cool song. Not one of my favorite Fixx songs by any means. And this live version is solid in of itself. So, yeah, guys, I really suggest if you're able to listen to what you can, because again, it's not this album's not all out there. There's bits and pieces scattered throughout, you know, on YouTube and stuff, but they don't have the full thing. So I highly recommend you get you a copy of this if you like, you know, synth pop and acoustic rock and stuff like that, because this really just has a lot of interesting versions of the Fixx. And even if you've not listened to the Fixx before, you're gonna really dig these songs, and then it might make you want to go and check out the original versions of them. But yeah, the best stuff off here as far as originality and keeping, you know, and differentiating itself from the original versions is easily Standard Fall, Outside, Cameras in Paris, Wish, I Will, Saved by Zero, Lost Plains, Two Different Views, Precious Stones. I mean, just awesome, awesome stuff. It's like a greatest, I wouldn't even say greatest hits, because there's some deep cuts on here, but just a all-around great compilation turned into an acoustic album. So of a lot of great stuff from the Fixx and some of their best material on there. So fantastic album here with 1011 Woodland. We exit the 90s with this thing and jump over to 2003 next time with Want That Life. So stay tuned for that, guys. We've got next, we've got that one and then two more until we review all these things, or I'm sorry, until we rank all these things and see where these albums are going to lie on the ranking scale. So anyways, guys, if you've heard this, if you're interested in hearing it, you know, talk about that down there in the comments. And I'm very curious to see which of you guys, if you do own this and have heard the whole thing through, as you know, again, this was only the second time I've ever fully listened to this, because it's that, you know, it's that uncommon and that not very accessible at all out there. You can find, I think, maybe half the album on YouTube. So, you know, if you're interested, check at least that half out, right? So, anyways, guys, like, subscribe, comment, and we're going to keep trucking things along here next time with 2003's Want That Life. Thanks, guys.